app, and it gives me so much of happiness. And there are many families who will find closure. This man, Yasin Malik, is a terrorist masquerading as a politician, and the NIA Special Court has convicted him. I'm very happy. There will be appeals, I'm sure. I'm sure his lawyers will try something. But I'm very sad the way, Mehbooba Mufti reacted when he pleaded guilty, and she said that this is an attack on Muslims in India. I mean, I think she had the same opinion when Burhan Wani was killed. At least I think she did, because that is the way she thinks. So good that he is being convicted by the court, and Pakistan is upset. Pakistan is saying that we strongly condemn it, but Pakistan's condemnations mean nothing. I mean, the country is on the brink of bankruptcy. However, I think it's a very momentous moment for us, all of us, Niranjan.
Major Arya, I want you to stay with us, Major Arya, because we're going to be on the story. I just want to take one reaction from the Pandit community. Sushil Pandit is joining us. Sushil Pandit, what are the thoughts going on in your mind today? Sushil, can you hear me, Sushil? Sushil, are you there? I think I lost the line. But Major Arya, here is someone who played. You remember there are some pictures we can't ever forget, Major Arya, of him being received by a sitting Prime Minister, called the face of a new Kashmir, him being honoured at conclaves by a section of the media, him sharing the stage with terrorists on Pakistani soil. Major Arya, and then Jalal Bakhshi is also joining us. Yeah, Major Arya.
Niranjan, absolutely. How can one forget? Yasin Malik was the toast of the Lutyens media. He was the toast of that lecture circuit of South Delhi, and how people welcomed him, and how they thought that he was something of a Fidel Castro, something of a revolutionary, and how he's gone to Pakistan, and even his wife, Mashal Malik, in Pearl Continental Hotel in Lahore. It was there that his wife was brought by the ISI. इस आदमी का रिश्ता ISI ने करवाया है, इसकी वाइफ के लड़की वाले ISI की. They brought her there, and इनकी coffee shop में meeting हुई थी, and that is how he got married to Mashal Malik. She's a Pakistani national, and now she lives in Pakistan. But the fact of the matter is that this man is a terrorist. He's not just a terrorist supporter. He has killed people. This man is responsible for deaths, and I hope this man takes his last breath in prison. He should not see the light of day. This man is pure evil, Niranjan. This man is evil, and he deserves to be in jail forever, for the rest of his life.
Absolutely, Major Arya. Jalal Bakhshi also has been on so many debates. Major Gaurav Arya, stay with me. Stay with me, sir. Stay with me. Don't disconnect Gaurav Arya, Jalal Arya, Gaurav Arya. I want to get Jalal Bakhshi as well. Jalal Bakhshi and Gaurav Arya, two of the best voices in India today on defense, and have tracked the story of Yasin Malik. And I have Jalal Bakhshi with me. Jalal Bakhshi, while you are speaking, sir, we are playing out the pictures of Yasin Malik walking out of the court. The first pictures coming in of him walking out of the court smiling. He didn't even contest the charges. Jalal Bakhshi.
Yes, he pleaded guilty because he is guilty. But he seems to, the kind of assurance that he's showing is disconcerting. As Gaurav mentioned, here is a man who is hand in glove with the Pakistani ISI. His bride, his wife, was chosen for him by the ISI. He had to marry in Pakistan, And here is a man who was responsible for murder. Here is a man who killed in cold blood, Indian citizens, Kashmiri Pandits. He killed the 4 Air Force personnel. He has blood on his hands. And instead of, hiding, trying to scurry around for cover, this man was openly flaunting himself and his connections with the high and mighty of the land. He was calling on the Prime Minister. I mean, how many of us can do that? How many of us can qualify to get to that exalted office? There was a man who was going around as if he was the greatest diva on the planet, on the matter of Kashmir. He was trying to pose as if he was a future prospective Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. On what basis? On the basis of participation, enthusiastic participation in ethnic cleansing and genocide. And this man was thereafter involved even in the killing of armed forces personnel. And you go around strutting about as if that was a great deed that he had performed. He had to be brought to justice. Because unless justice is seen to be done, people will lose faith. I mean, you can kill, you can do ethnic cleansing, you can do genocide, and not only walk free, but walk as a self-proclaimed hero of a kind. It was about time that for the sake of the Pandits, for the wounds that have been inflicted upon an entire community, that this man had to be brought to justice. Thank God they've done it. There I, durust I. It had to be, it should have been done many, many years ago to send a clear message that this will not stand. We will not permit ethnic cleansing. We will not let people involved get away scot-free. They will have to pay for their sins, their crimes against humanity. They have to be brought to justice. The place where he belongs is behind the bar. And frankly, for the murder that he has committed, I thought he should, have been hanging at the end of a rope. But if that has not been possible because he's gone and admitted to his guilt, so get the court's mercy and pardon kind of a thing, but the court hasn't spared him. He's going to go into jail for I don't think he deserves to come out of that jail. He belongs there, and I'm glad he's being sent.
General Bakshi, stay with me, sir. Between you and Gaurav Arya, I'm going to keep, asking you all questions because, everybody, in the early years, we used to see him being celebrated, Major Gaurav Arya. Why didn't previous governments or previous dispensations manage to get justice for the Pandits? Why did they celebrate him, Major Arya? Why did they do handshakes with him? Why did they make him some sort of an icon?
Tell you what, whether it is Punjab or whether it is Kashmir, Pakistan took advantage of a situation. There is no doubt Pakistan fomented terrorism in Kashmir and Punjab both. But the fact of the matter is that it was the policy of the previous government which started it all. I mean, who propped up Bhindranwale? Who propped up Bhindranwale? Yes, he was supplied with weapons from Pakistan, but who propped them up? It was the Congress government. Who started all this nonsense in Kashmir? Pakistan took advantage. Pakistan sent terrorists. They carried out terrorist acts in Kashmir. But it was, the problem is that when you invite a man like Yasin Malik and you have a man of the stature of Dr. Manmohan Singh, Prime Minister or not does not matter, with him on the stage, shaking hands, photo ops being done, and the glitterati of Delhi there to celebrate Yasin Malik. Celebrating what? That he killed Indian Air Force personnel? That he's a separatist? That he wants to cleave India into half? Is this why he was being celebrated? Because they were hand in glove with these people. They raised these people as their own. They were hand in glove. They gave money, Niranjan. Inko paisa milta tha every year. And overall, they have given, across decades, they have given about $1 billion, approximately $1 billion to the separatists of the Hurriyat. And this man was a direct beneficiary. It's not just he was shaking hands with the Prime Minister of the country. He received money. Have you seen the lifestyle? You should see the bungalows that they have in Delhi. You should see the bungalows that they have in Srinagar. I've seen it. These people are filthy rich. And where do they get the money from? It was given by India's central government. The kids have government jobs. They have the best of SUVs. They'll dine in the best of restaurants. They go abroad. It's all funded. It was all funded. It was only when the Modi government came that they switched off the tap and they said nothing doing. Otherwise, these people live the lifestyle which would be the envy of a cabinet minister. A caravan of 10 vehicles taking them, a convoy of 10 vehicles. They used to be received by the police at Delhi airport. And then they would go to a hospital in Gurgaon, a luxury hospital in Gurgaon for their treatment, where one night stay in that hospital used to cost 2.5 lakh rupees for one night. Who paid for it? It was the taxpayer who paid for it. And these were the people they were raised. They were raised by this cabal in Delhi. And I'm so happy today that he's going to be spending time in jail. Yes, there will be appeals, but I'm very sure that wherever it goes, the appeal goes, this man will be behind bars for the rest of his life. And it's very important because these people take their sustenance from Pakistan. Pakistan is their ideological base. And once you hit Pakistan, directly or indirectly, through Yasin Malik or directly, people scream in agony because these were the people who killed our, the entire Kashmiri Pandit tragedy that happened. He was one of the architects of that. The entire Hurriyat. They were the ideological mentors of these terrorists. And they have been given, and this person is responsible for the deaths. He has admitted to it. He has not said,
Major Arya and General Bakshi, can I request you both to just join us live for a few minutes? Can I request both of you gentlemen, Major Jiri Bakshi, Major Arya?
It's been described as a historical moment, but it's been years and it's come so long. General Bakshi, coming to you first, your reactions.
There was this lady called Robin Raphael in the American State Department. And about a decade plus back, when we had held elections in 1994-95 in Jammu and Kashmir, after a body blow had been given to the JKLF, had been wiped out, we had held elections. And free and fair elections for the first time. That was the time very royally Robin Raphael tried to tell us that elections were not sufficient for the United States and that they wanted us to talk to the Hurriyat. That is the time this from JKLF, remnants, those who had surrendered, they had formed the JKLF under Gilani. And suddenly they were supposed to be the arbitrators of Kashmir's destiny. And our own intelligence agencies, as Gaurav has pointed out, began to pay them huge sums. The kind of largesse that was dished out to these people, like they had mansions. You should have, when I was serving there, we took out photographs before and after their houses, before they started getting money paid both by the ISI and by the Indian intelligence agency. And then they were kept as some kind of government in waiting. That is how he could walk up to the Prime Minister's office. Here, a terrorist, a proclaimed terrorist, an offender who had blood on his hands, who was responsible for orchestrating the genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiri Pandit, a man who had personally killed Air Force personnel, 4 of them. He had their blood on his hand, was not only going around scot-free, he was being feted and wined and dined by our intelligence agencies. He was being doled out huge sums of money. He was living a lifestyle you and I can't imagine in our 5-star hotels. And he was facilitated to marry a Pakistani woman. No girl in Kashmir was fit enough for His Highness. He had to marry in Pakistan, and that marriage had to be organized by the ISI operators and handlers. We knew what he was up to, we knew what he was doing, yet instead of putting him behind the bars and giving him the treatment that he deserved, he was being wined and dined and given money by our own people to carry on with his nefarious activities. I'm glad this charade has come to an end. I'm glad this tamasha has now been finally called out. This man has been brought to justice. He is now being sent to the bars, behind the bars where he belongs. For decades before, he should have spent about at least 15, 20 years in jail by now. Because he had to be brought to justice. He's going around scot-free, flaunting his proximity to the powers that be. Was an affront to a community that has been treated so brutally. We haven't seen this scale of ethnic cleansing. The last that we saw was in Yugoslavia. And for that, Slobodan Milosevic and the others are behind bars for decades now. And here was this gentleman not only going around scot-free, hobnobbing with the high and mighty, going to Pakistan for a gala wedding, coming back with a Pakistani ISI, handler as part of the family. This man is an enemy of the state. He deserves to be treated as such. He cannot be allowed to get scot-free with the murders, with the ethnic cleansing, with the genocidal pogroms that he orchestrated. Thank God one was waiting to see this day. And I think this is the part of that drive, that upsurge which started with the telling of the truth, the unmasking of these people with the Kashmir files. And now I'm glad the second logical step is following. He needs to be behind bars. I totally agree with Gaurav. He should have been there long ago, instead of, as a kind of a insult, in your face insult to the people who have been the victims of genocide and this thing. He was going around flaunting that he is a government in waiting in Jammu and Kashmir. The Hurriyat was supposed to be the people to whom the entire bureaucracy in J&K was genuflecting, was bowing, scraping their noses, trying to gain their favors, getting their relations some of the plum posts when people don't have jobs. I'm glad he has been brought to justice. He actually needed to hang. Frankly, if you ask me, the kind of crimes he has committed, he needed to hang. It is just that he has totally admitted to his guilt in the court. He pleaded guilty in the court because he is guilty. And now he should pay for it.
He is guilty and he should pay for it, says Major General G.D. Bakshi. Coming to you, Major Gaurav Arya, what do you think this means for the families of those whom Yasin Malik, as the leader of the JKLF, terrorized? What do you think it means for the security forces in whose families and in whose lives he caused such trauma?
See, just like General G.D. Bakshi sir said, I think this man needs to hang. It's unfortunate that he's going to go to prison. And but the fact of the matter is that at least some closure the families will get. People who have been victims. We just need to make sure that this man never sees the light of day. He never sees the world outside his prison walls. And let that be a punishment for him, that he should stay there till his entire natural life. You know, this man not only killed the 4 IF personnel, this man was, one of the centers of gravity in Kashmir for terrorism. And like General G.D. Bakshi said, the way Pakistan would tell India that, you need to start talking to the Hurriyat. Now I want to ask, who elected the Hurriyat? Who made the Hurriyat? Who designed this entire thing called the Hurriyat? It is a Pakistani design. No Kashmiri ever voted for the Hurriyat. But the Hurriyat were there. They are the biggest troublemakers, and they were the people who would give ideological cover fire and public cover fire to the terrorists operating in Kashmir. Now today Pakistan has started it. There is a pure Pakistani origin, pure some Lord Ahmad something in the House of Lords, who says that the UK Parliament is watching Yasin Malik's case very carefully. Let the UK Parliament watch. What is this? The East India Company in India right now that they will watch. Keep watching for the next 200 years. Who cares about the UK Parliament? You can watch all you want. You see, so all these things. Now, Mehbooba Mufti also made a comment. She linked it to something she calls, this is how Muslims are being treated. This has got nothing to do with Hindu and Muslim. This is Mehbooba Mufti. She's never going to come back to power again in her life. So this is one frustrated politician. That all that politician can do is, go on Twitter and spew venom. That's all. It does not matter. She's irrelevant now.
हमारी वीडियो को लाइक क्यों नहीं करता तो? अच्छा, धमकी नहीं करता? क्या कर लेगा? क्या कर लूंगा? ऐसी वीडियो बना के डालूंगा, ऑटोग्राफ मांगता फिरेगा।